Podcast. Here tonight with Tyler Hood, Tanner Gilmartin, Chris Stacker. I'm your host, Max Pretzel. It's great to be with everybody again tonight. Hope everybody's being safe and, staying inside, wearing masks, as we all hope you are. And, guys, tonight, a ton of topics to get to. Start with the NFL. Jamal Adams.
What the hell is going on?
He gets traded to the Seattle Seahawks, which we expected to trade to the Seahawks. I'm not so sure about that. That probably wasn't my first choice. Another thing in the NFL news that recently came out, Antonio Brown's officially suspended 8 games by the NFL. So now teams can, weigh their options as far as do they want to sign Antonio Brown and possibly deal with the headache. But, his on-field production does equal that out somewhat. So we'll see what happens with him.
And that's ludicrous.
Carson Wentz, not on the top 100 list in the NFL players. NFL players voted. They think Wentz is not a top 100 player.
It's ridiculous.
I'm sure all of us on this panel have something to say about that. So moving on here, the situation going on with the Miami Marlins having an outbreak with their team. Cardinals coming out today. They have 2 members of their team testing positive for the virus. And how this virus affects the Phillies situation, especially the last week, with us not having played a single game since Sunday afternoon against the Marlins. So when the Phillies will play again, we don't know. We just hope it's soon. We hope that, the season can continue. And hopefully, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, and those guys can get back out there because all of us are so excited for the start of the season. And it was finally here. And to only see 3 games thus far is pretty frustrating. So
I'm sick of this.
Touch on some Phils, and then lastly, we'll touch on the NBA restarting last night. Kawhi Leonard against LeBron. Big matchup. Lakers get the W in the end, but it was a hard-fought game. Definitely
It's
has
about
a
damn time.
playoff atmosphere type feel to it. So we'll touch on that and the Sixers restart and what tomorrow night's game means for the Sixers. You got to get out to a good start, play the Indiana Pacers, and quick stretch of games here before the playoffs. So we gotta get revved up for the playoffs because basketball is a different atmosphere, and you got to have that mentality of aggressive mindset going into the playoffs and have that mentality of like, I'm better than you, in your head thinking that. So I'm going to say a hot take again at the end of the show. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is right now. It's just a hot take. And it's weird because it's about the Sixers and they come back tomorrow night. And I just want to throw this out there. People didn't agree with my hot take last week about Patrick Mahomes. So hopefully they change their mind this week. I actually think, Tanner, you said not a single person agreed with my hot take last week about a bad contract.
There was one person that hung on with you for a little bit.
All right, I respect it. All right, guys, let's roll into this. Let's roll into it. Jamal Adams to the Seahawks. First reaction when you found out, that Jamal Adams gets traded, was it too much of a price for the Jets to pay, or for the Seahawks to pay, or not?
Well, I didn't find out about the details until a little later on when the details finally did come out. So at first I was disappointed. I'm like, damn, that'd been nice. I'd rather have him over Jalen Mills. But then when the details came out, 2 first-rounders and a 4th was involved and all these different assets, and I'm like, no, I'm good. That's a little much. Even for a safety, as good as Jamal Adams is, that's a hefty price. Now, of course, the Seahawks being who the Seahawks is, and they want to dominate on the defensive front. Of course, they're willing to pay that price. However, just a little too rich for my blood.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Jamal Adams isn't all pro, in my opinion, one of the top 3 safeties in the NFL today. Probably the closest thing you're going to see to Brian Dawkins on the field, and that's high praise coming from me. But
yeah, totally agree. I can totally agree with you.
That
yeah. Oh, go ahead. You got
No. I was just going to say that price tag was just a little too high for me.
Yeah, Tanner, real quick before we roll on here.
Well, just like T, I didn't find out the details until a little later, but my very first reaction was, wow, the Seahawks are a much better team. This is a team that has stuck around. They're a top team every year. They have a top 3 quarterback. They're a really dangerous team, and we know it too good because we faced them twice this last season, and it didn't end well both times. And this is a really good team, and now they're an even better team with Jamal Adams. I think there's still some positions they need to improve on, but this is no doubt a playoff team. And hopefully, everyone's playing on the team, and they have a better shot. The Seahawks, a team that I respect the Seahawks. I don't have any bad blood against the Seahawks. And like T.
So we know it's hard.
I find out what the Seahawks gave to the Jets for Jamal Adams, and it does seem like it's a little more than they should have given. They could have went for Yannick from the Jaguars, maybe seen what they would have taken for him. But they gave, as T mentioned, they gave a 2021 and 2022 first round pick, and then they gave a third round pick in 2021 and a safety.
Yeah, Chris, they have Russell Wilson, arguably one of the better quarterbacks in the league. We all know that. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett on the outside, Chris Carson there in the backfield. Now adding Jamal Adams. How much of a Super Bowl contender? How big of a shot does Seattle have to win the whole thing, not just in the NFC and come out of the NFC, but to win the whole Super Bowl?
I know T and Tanner said they don't really like how much the Seahawks gave up for Jamal Adams. They were good before Jamal Adams was there, and with Jamal Adams is going to finally have this opportunity to play with good players around him, and I think that just makes the Seattle Seahawks in general just a much scarier team. And I agree with Tanner. They are definitely a playoff team. In my opinion, the best team in the NFC East, and I don't know about all the way, because when you look at the AFC, you got Kansas City, you got Baltimore, you got a lot of good teams over there.
Yeah.
I definitely think they do have a good chance of being one of the final two teams by the end of the next football season.
Yeah, I agree 100% on this one. I think, the price tag was high, but listen, Seattle's in win-now mode. Russell Wilson now basically in his prime. And if you add a player like Adams, which they did, and then if you can also on top of that re-sign Jadeveon Clowney, you're looking at a powerhouse right there on both sides of the football. And if they can, the NFC, in my opinion, is a tougher conference, especially last year. A lot of good teams. The Packers obviously had home field against Seattle and knocked them out last year before getting beaten by San Fran. But this year, I think Green Bay takes a step back, and I think Seattle on paper is a better football team than San Fran at this moment. Deebo Samuel's banged up as of right now. Deal with an injury. We'll see where he's at when the season rolls around. But I think right now, you got to go for it. You add a big player like that to your defensive secondary. You can re-sign Jadeveon Clowney, add him back to your line, and then have that offense. And right now, the only quarterback in the league that can compete physically and mentally, combination of both with Patrick Mahomes, could be Russell Wilson. Lamar probably not there yet mentally, but he obviously has a skill set with his wheels on the ground. But as far as a mental game and also having the arm strength and the leadership skills that Mahomes has, Wilson's right there. So it'll be interesting how it plays out. But I definitely think it's a good deal. Yeah, it was a big price tag, but Chris, I'm with you. Definitely could be worth it, especially this season, as long as Seattle can remain healthy and get deep into the playoffs. I think they have a legit shot to win the Super Bowl now. And let's move. Go ahead, Tanner. I'm
wrong. I'm sure T is on the same page here. Jamal Adams is a great player.
No doubt.
Top player.
No
at
doubt.
His position specifically. And a player who has been closely compared to Brian Dawkins. So I agree. It's a great move for the Seahawks. I just think maybe they could have reworked the deal a little better in their favor.
Yeah, listen, I think you're right. I think from a Seattle Seahawks perspective, they wanted Adams, badly, right? They obviously had communication back and forth, and once the Jets finally said yes, we'll do that deal, I think Seattle went and pulled the plug on it. They pulled the trigger, I guess, in this case. But you're right though. If they weren't like 100%, okay, Adams, let's nitpick here. I'm sure they probably could have knocked it down a little bit. I mean, think about this. I mean, Adams came out last week. Called out head coach Adam Gase. Yeah. And, at that point, every team in the league knows, like, Adams is a problem in New York. He wants out. So automatically off the bat, that puts the Jets in a bad situation. This guy's – they have no leverage, right? This guy wants out in New York. Right. And I see your point, definitely. Like, the Jets have no leverage. The Seattle Seahawks could easily try to lowball the Jets a little bit, which I don't think they did in this case.
The thing that I think happened with the Seahawks is they already, as you mentioned, they had this – planned out already. They knew that they wanted Jamal Adams, and the trade was almost final before Jamal Adams made these comments, and it didn't really affect the trade. But however, I think if they would have waited a little longer on the decision to trade for Jamal Adams, I think his price would have went down. Seeing what he was saying, ripping apart a whole franchise, then you have teams thinking, well, he could do that to us.
Right, exactly. Right. Which is the reason why I think that his value was honestly, it should not have taken that much to move him, due to the simple fact that now, you come out with those things. Now you're labeled as a problem player. Regardless of how you feel about the franchise, regardless of how bad that franchise is, that's still a bad look on the player. So, still, I just think all the teams that were involved that wanted Jamal Adams, I think they did give the Jets lowball offers, and the Seahawks were pretty much the only team that came in and was like, "Oh yeah, we'll give you whatever you want. Open up the checkbook."
That's a good point, too. But here's the thing. Now, from a New York Jets perspective, I mean, this is a team that's been in turmoil for years now. Ever since the infamous butt fumble by Mark Sanchez, I mean, this team really hasn't done much. And now you're really relying on Sam Darnold to take a step forward this year. I mean, if Sam Darnold doesn't take a step forward, GM ownership now, they're really in hot water as far as ownership not knowing, where to take the next step from here on the field, from on the field perspective with the players. Head coach Adam Gase, who didn't have much success in Miami, comes in a New York situation. Obviously, I don't think he was a big fan of Le'Veon Bell signing. Le'Veon Bell then comes out and says, what happened, Jamal? I'm paraphrasing here, but he recruited, Le'Veon to join the Jets, and then the season after Le'Veon gets there, he's out. So right when the Jets are trying to move forward here and build around their key players, their best player literally wants out and now is gone. So Sam Darnold had a lot on the shoulders this season. Le'Veon Bell is getting towards the end of his career as far as being a top player. I mean, he'll still be around as long as he's healthy. But as far as being a superstar, star player in this league, he's coming down to his back years now. They did draft Denzel Mims, who's promising on the outside, but Sam Darnold is the key to this organization. If he's kind of the same type of player, has those turnover issues next year, because he did have turnover issues last year as far as throwing a lot of picks. But if he has that same problem this year and you don't see a lot of progression, I mean, the Jets don't really have much hope after that.
Right. Yeah, I have no hope for the Jets. And when you mentioned the newest wide receiver on the Jets, me and T kind of made a face, because he came out and said that he did not want to be a part of this trash team or this trash city. So it didn't sit well for us. And now all eyes will be on him from an Eagles fan perspective to see how he does. And back to the Jets, I have no hope for the Jets. Oop. And for me, I feel like they could have made a few different choices for head coach, and they went with Adam Gase. And that started off headline-wise when Adam Gase was making weird looks. And it's just a show for us to watch how these Jets make decisions. Yeah. And I feel
what is going on back there?
That's exactly probably what Adam Gase was thinking to himself. But I do give the Jets fans maybe a card to bandwagon onto another team for one or two more seasons until they start getting their stuff together and go back to Jets football.
Yeah, that's the problem, T, and I think we can all agree with this. From a Jets perspective with this deal, they really don't have much to look forward to. I mean, they got a quarterback who is a question mark. They got a running back who is a diva, in my opinion, to use a key word there. I mean, he's kind of, I feel like he doesn't give 100% at least this past season. He does get volume. He obviously gets force-fed the football. But I feel like when things don't go his way, he kind of backs down, and not that he quits on the team, but, doesn't give a full effort. And then you look on the defensive side of the ball, you lose your best player. They don't really have much. I mean, they did give a lot of money to C.J. Mosley, the linebacker. But after that, you don't really have any skill players on this team at all. And then where do you look at that? After that, where do you look to? You don't have players on the field. Okay, then we look to the head coach. Do we at least have a leader in place to lead these guys? Adam Gase is a big question mark. Like you said, Tanner, when he comes out, the whole team seems like a meme from day one. When he has those weird eye motions, and then you look to ownership. I mean, the whole ladder and the whole chain of
and the smelling people. Salt.
Yeah, it's just not a good situation. But they did get a haul back, so if they can hit them draft picks next year, we'll see. They can possibly turn it around. So let's roll on here. Let's go Antonio Brown, a guy who has not been in the news lately. I think he literally said a few days ago he wants to retire. Yeah. And now all of a sudden, maybe not. He retracted again. So who knows where this guy's head's at on a daily basis.
What's he here for?
From a news and the NFL's perspective, we'll keep it at that. 8-game suspension. Who knows what the deal is anymore? I mean, Kareem Hunt gets suspended. What do you get? 8-10 games last. I mean, we don't really know what the going rate is for what do you have to do to get suspended a certain amount of games. But at the end of the day, listen, 8 games, that's what it is. Who to start off, because we can go multiple directions with this topic. Any team out there that you guys look to right now and say, okay, this team's going to take a flyer on AB?
Why not the
Bucks.
Seahawks? Yeah. Why not the
Yeah,
Seahawks?
I mean, listen, you're not going to get an argument from me just because I just in my last point, saying this could be their year to really go for it. And again, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But yeah, we still know he's talented. I mean, yeah, he's a little bit past his prime. But I'll tell you what, from an Eagles perspective and as an Eagles fan, I don't think we don't want any parts of Antonio Brown.
There's just a lot of drama behind Antonio Brown. As you mentioned a few days ago, he goes to Twitter, Instagram, and says that he's retiring again. All right, no one really cares at this point.
We've heard that before.
Yeah, exactly. It's just AB being AB. He posts whatever
You piece
he
of
wants.
Swiss cheese.
And it just goes back. It seems like it happened out of nowhere. Antonio Brown, top wide receiver in the league. And then all of a sudden in the summer, he posts stuff that he doesn't want to be on the Steelers anymore. Why don't you trade me? So he gets his wish. He gets out of Pittsburgh. And then he gets a deal. He joins the Raiders. It was a good deal. Everyone's excited to see him play on a new team. Maybe it was Ben Roethlisberger that causes problems. Mike Tomlin. Nope. It might have been Antonio Brown in control of all these problems that happened because he joins the Jets but doesn't get to play one season game. He doesn't play in the preseason. He may have played. I think he played a couple plays, but during Hard Knocks, we were watching all this drama unfold. He would show up, he wouldn't show up, and then he says he wants to play with his old helmet. The NFL says no, so he throws a fit, and then he leaves practice early. Then he freezes his feet. He gets freezer burn on his foot or whatever happened with that. And then so he records a conversation with Gruden, and he posts that on Instagram or Snapchat, wherever that goes. So he gets his wish with that. He just had to wait 2 more days, and he would have received $20+ million. Just 2 days not to post anything on Twitter or Instagram, and that's $20+ million. But instead,
Man, that's ludicrous.
He gets released by the Raiders. He celebrates as if he won. He celebrates. He says, "Grandma,
Hallelujah!" He runs
or whatever.
outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he joins the Pats
For a game.
For a little bit. He joins the Pats.
It's stupid.
On a 1-year deal worth $15 million, $9 million signing bonus that he was supposed to get paid in installments. I don't know how that worked. $5 million by a certain day, and then $4 million by a certain day a month later. But then a sexual assault allegation comes in. He plays 1 game for the Patriots. He plays pretty well, to mention. And then a second sexual assault allegation is brought up, and then he's dropped by Nike. He then threatens the victim via text with all the evidence already left on there. Then the Patriots have enough of his nonsense. They release him 2 weeks after signing. He insults Patriots, the Raiders, says he won't be playing in the NFL anymore. Then he retires. Then he re-enrolls in college, and then a few days after that, asks someone to write his paper for him.
You
On
dumbass.
social media. And then I don't know what happened with his college. I'm sure he got in trouble by his college. Then he posts a picture asking and then he wants to play. He posts all these pictures apologizing to organizations, the Steelers, the Raiders, the Patriots. Thanks, Bill Belichick, for giving him a chance.
What
And
the is
he
that?
misses out on the rest of this past season. Now jump forward to July 21st. He was saying he was retiring. Now today we find out he's suspended 8 games, no matter if he's signed or not. So teams could wait these 8 games and then sign Antonio Brown. Or if they feel like the market is really looking forward to Antonio Brown, they grab him, then he's sitting on their bench for 8 weeks. I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
To entertain your
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Chris.
to entertain your question, I just want to preface with what I'm going to say with I don't think Antonio Brown's playing another NFL game ever. Because I don't think any team is going to look at an 8-game suspension and think, well, by week 9, thank God we'll have Antonio Brown. But I don't know. I was just, as Tanner was giving all that, I was just really sitting here thinking who could use a wide receiver. And, you know, I think it'd be interesting to see him on the Houston Texans. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins anymore. And what's Deshaun Watson's number one wide receiver? What, Kenny Stills? Like,
Yeah, Will
Yeah.
Fuller.
Will Fuller, yeah.
Bill
Will
O'Brien's
Fuller.
over there. He we've seen what he can do trading. So I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a shot on Antonio Brown. But we did mention a team that I think would be just making the story even better. Antonio Brown to the Jets. That would just be another meme. Nick's mentioned this whole team is just a meme. I don't think it's really realistic.
Be a
But
clown
Antonio
show up there.
on the Jets would be something to think about.
Yeah, listen, T, I'll let you go. I just really have a simple point on this. I want to point out something here. You know, as a fan of football, as we all are, we look at AB and we know how great of a player he is. But one thing that I really wish I paid more attention to was the original deal with him in Pittsburgh. You know, literally Pittsburgh wanted this guy gone. As a fan base, as you know, community, we didn't know what the deal was. You know, why would Pittsburgh want him? We didn't really know the behind the scenes stuff. Then the red flag we see a third and a fifth rounder. I mean, listen, we had a guy with Antonio Brown's talent being traded for a third and a fifth round pick. It didn't raise any red flags to me at the time, but it should have, because look, you got guys like Adams, you know, yesterday goes for 2 first rounders, and then you have Antonio Brown going for a third and a fifth. Like, I don't know why it didn't, like, a light bulb didn't go off in my head. Like, wow, okay, something is going on here deep down, but it should have, you know, it should have been a light bulb go off.
That's just the Steelers saying, "Get out of here, kick rocks. We don't want you anymore. We're causing problems."
We didn't know what you know, like, we knew there was something. We just didn't know how deep or how big of a problem he actually was.
Now, mind you, both two players are high caliber players. You know, both guys are difference makers on teams.
Exactly.
And one player goes and gets traded for 2 first rounds and still clowns the team. Clowns the team, and the team that trades him still gets 2 first rounds. The other guy, you know, is basically a clown himself, but we don't know anything about it until after he gets traded. And we talked about this. He only gets traded for a third and fifth round, and we're sitting there going, well, damn, that's a hell of a deal. Shoot. Third and the fifth rounder? Antonio Brown?
Like, oh, the Raiders, man, they really made out well. Like, how did they pull that one off?
That was a hell of a steal. Then you're like, oh, okay.
You look deeper, and it's like, wow.
It's a shame because this is a guy who could still be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. A guy who we were seeing, at the point that he was playing on the Steelers, he was on path to be one of the greatest wide receivers that we've ever seen. I'm talking before us, too, that they've ever seen. Antonio Brown, it's a shame that I don't know what happened, his personality or something just took over. And it really ruined his chances. But I still do see him being maybe in the Hall of Fame. I think there's still a shot. I don't know how that works. I don't know if he's just eliminated from the ballot for the things that he said.
Well, I guess the good news is he hasn't really, like, said anything too bad about the commissioner.
Right.
So, like, he's got that in his back pocket. I guess.
He's a 7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, and he's a great wide receiver, but not a great personality.
No,
I guess what I'm trying to get at, and it's a shame.
None of us had a problem with Antonio Brown for the first 5, I guess maybe 6 years of his career at Pittsburgh. This call just kind of popped up. It all popped up after that playoff, or it was a playoff, or was it a regular season win again?
They were figuring out.
With the recorded Mike Tomlin. Like, that's how this thing all started. And I don't even think, I don't think in AB's head it was that big of a deal. Like, I feel like if it didn't get brought up so much in the media, that it wouldn't have been a big problem. And maybe we're sitting here talking about a whole different situation with Antonio Brown today if that doesn't get blown up as much as it did. If Mike Tomlin sits down and says, hey, people make mistakes, it's not a big deal. But, people really went after AB for that, and understandably so. I mean, you don't want recordings going on in the locker room, especially with coaches. But it could be way different if that wasn't, called out in the media by big companies like that and put on national TV.
You make me sick.
Let's roll into this last topic for football here, and Wentz being not on the top 100 list. I'm not a huge fan of these
people what they want to see.
Players. And I looked at the list, I'm checking it out, and there's things I agree with, things I don't agree with, just like every other list that comes out that's not our own opinions. And I didn't really have, whatever, it's not a big thing to me. I know how talented Wentz is when he's healthy. But then the thing that catches my eye right towards the very end of that list, I'm looking at like players. I'm like, okay, this player deserves being. And then I'm like, you know what? Why am I looking at players? I need to look at quarterbacks specifically to see what
I
quarterbacks
know
made it
who
over
you're
Wentz.
gonna say, Max.
And we see Kyler Murray.
Yep.
Kyler Murray ahead of Wentz. And that's just like that. My eyes lit up. I was like, this list really has Kyler Murray on the Arizona Cardinals offense last year, who didn't do squat. And then you have Wentz with a bunch of trash bags, dragging our team literally single-handedly. Well, I'll chip in Miles Sanders. Literally almost single-handedly taking our team.
It's funny to me too.
And winning the division. And then I was like, you know what? I'm done with this list. Like, I'm just completely done with it. I don't agree with it. I think Wentz is better than Kyler Murray with one knee. He doesn't need two knees. He just needs one. And I just think it's ridiculous. Carson Wentz is a top 100 player, hands down. And on top of this, my last point about it, how do you go from being number 3 or whatever he was the previous year, and now he's not even in the top 100? Like, how does your opinion change that much?
Here's the part that gets me. Here's the part that pisses me off. How Ryan damn Tannehill make the list at number 68? Ryan Tannehill. Derek. Well, yeah, but Derek Henry made him look good.
Here's the thing, Here's the thing. So higher up in the list, it was Derek Tannehill, and then later on it was Ryan or Ryan Henry. So you kind of combine them because whatever Tannehill does and all Tannehill's success, you got to have Henry's name in there somewhere because literally it was the Derek Henry show.
That's what I'm saying.
Tennessee last year.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. So why is Ryan Tannehill? Go ahead.
He's on the top 100 list twice.
Look, man. And then you put Dak Prescott in there. Dak Prescott didn't even take the Cowboys to the playoffs. Like you said,
Dak Prescott, literally, we brought this up to a couple weeks ago, had the opportunity to go into the link and win that playoff game. Or win that win the game in that playoff type atmosphere, basically a playoff game, so to speak, but couldn't do it. Wentz still got the job done. How do you have? I mean, you can't have Dak ahead of Wentz.
And at one point, the Cowboys are 3 or 5 games ahead of the Eagles, and Dak Prescott now he's on the list, but he loses that lead from us, and then he loses the playoffs to us.
And then on top of that, like, to make matters worse, so I continue watching this stupid list because at this point I'm heated. I'm PO'd. If I was a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I kid you not, whoever makes up this list, straight up, I'm going to help them deliver
to asses.
Number 1, Lamar Jackson. Are you flipping kidding me? Not to say that he did not have a magnificent season, because he did. I think he did deserve to be at least in the top 10, top 15. No debate. However,
list that doesn't have Pat Mahomes number 1.
Yes, Patrick stinking Mahomes. Come on.
We can think how different this list would be if it was voted on by fans and not just players. But voted by peers is different because these guys know the personality and they know what skill. So I feel like this was more of a popularity contest.
It is.
I got to admit, Lamar did have some funny post-game interviews this past season. He's got a good personality, so there could be that. Plus, maybe a lot of the players were like, God damn, we can't beat Mahomes the whole season. Like, let me just vote this guy like 5th, for example. Like, why not?
Yeah. Let me backtrack and put my opinion in on this list and when I heard of who was left off. The NFL unveiled it. I believe the last section was out Wednesday. I think.
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
And as you can see, it shocked us that we didn't see our guy there on the list. They had to have made a mistake. You're telling me, as Max mentioned, a guy who took his team to the playoffs with, as Max mentioned, trash cans, guys who were off the couch. These guys, a few weeks before, were eating potato chips, watching Good Morning Football. They didn't know what was going on. They had no pads, no jersey, no helmet. And it's just, you see, I have an autographed football by the guy they left off, Carson Wentz, our guy, and this list is faulty because also a guy who we had Carson Wentz, some of us in our top 5 when we did the NFC quarterbacks and top 10 in the entire NFL. But a guy who Max had in the top 5 of his quarterbacks that surprised us, I believe he was at number 5 in the NFC, was Matt Ryan. He's left off this list as well.
Yep. listen, I'm a big fan of Matt Ryan. I think he's gonna have a great season this upcoming year too. But again, this list is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, flat out. I mean, that's all I can really say about it. It's ridiculous. Another guy I'll name, Josh Allen. Like, yeah, okay, Josh Allen. You know, he made the playoffs. I guess he should have won the game in Houston. I mean, Deshaun Watson, yeah, he had some magic there towards the end, but Josh Allen gets the job done with his legs. He's got a rocket arm, but he has no accuracy.
I'll tell you what, this is ridiculous. And I watched a video of Skip Bayless mentioning the quarterbacks who were left off above Carson Wentz, and one of his quarterbacks was Baker Mayfield.
You want to know another one? Matt Stafford. Like, Matt Stafford, what?
Don't mention it. Yeah, don't mention these guys above Carson Wentz. There's a lot of disrespect towards Carson Wentz, and I think this is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Because Carson Wentz, I saw him walking in to the Eagles facility the other day. This guy has obviously been lifting weights.
Man.
He's clearing his mind. He's been hunting. He has a child now. His play is going to be a lot different.
Yeah.
And T, play the soundbite of the weak back.
Hey,
Whatever.
man, that back is going to be strong, man.
Whatever.
Did y'all see the picture that he had?
It looks
That's all
like
I'm
that man's
saying.
back has improved.
That's
It looks
all
like
I'm
he is
He's
stronger
a family
than
man
ever.
now.
You're always on
He's
your
got a
back.
family.
Sheesh.
It's a shame. It's a shame that the world is at a point where it is now, where we're uncertain if there will be an NFL season and how they'll do things like that. We've seen how other leagues are faring, and we'll get into that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a blessing in disguise, because I think Carson Wentz, this will make him more motivated. Already, you have it going against him and Marquise Goodwin not playing this season.
Mm-hmm.
He's down top wide receiver that we were excited on the team that we were excited to see play. And we have Deshaun Jackson, who we don't quite know. I think his punishments have already been handled, but we don't know if he'll be playing.
Internally, yeah.
Yeah, they've been handling internally.
Alshon Jeffrey, we don't know if he'll be motivated to play. I saw him going into the facility. He didn't look too happy, in my opinion, and they put him on the active list, I believe.
Yeah, so he can't play until after week 6.
You know what? I'm sick of Alshon Jeffrey. You know, what does that guy have to complain about?
What's he here for?
What is this guy's problem? Like, what do you mean you can't work with Wentz? Like, it's about winning a Super Bowl, right? Yeah, okay. You want to get freaking 150 targets and 100 catches, fine. But you know what? If you go 4-12, it doesn't mean anything. Like, you got to spread the ball around and get guys opportunities.
You know what? I have to say to Alshon Jeffrey, if you don't like playing with Carson Wentz, I know you like playing with Foles. Go back to the Bears and play with Foles.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Jay Cutler used to be there. What do you want to go back to Jay Cutler in Chicago?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You got a quarterback battle of Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles. Go have fun in Chicago.
Get the out!
Jeffrey's been kind of in hot water for me lately. I mean, I've never been really a huge fan of him. I mean, yeah, he did have a good season or two with us, but he's caused more headaches lately than good production on the football field.
Well, I got a question for you guys. This T don't yell too soon, but would you guys have, knowing what would happen in the future, would you guys
You're not
have
about
kept
to
Nelson
say
Aguilar?
No.
Hell no.
No? You wouldn't have given him
so.
yet another shot?
No.
How about you, Chris? No.
I'll tell you one thing here.
rocks.
I'll give you this, Tanner. I'll give you this. If Alshon Jeffrey and Nelson Aguilar played the same position, if they both played the slot, yeah, I'd rather have Nelson Aguilar and Alshon Jeffrey.
I'll put up with Alshon's attitude.
See, I know you'll put up with the attitude, but either way, you're not in a good spot. I mean, I'm not going out there like, Alshon Jeffrey,
Yeah.
You know,
Do you think Carson Wentz going out there and like, I'm going to throw all these to Alshon Jeffrey? No.
Yeah, but at least.
And another thing is, T, real quick before you go,
Okay.
I think Ertz. Everybody was saying, he just targets Ertz. You know, Wentz, all he wants to do is throw to Ertz. And then you look at the stats, that's not true at all. You know,
Nope.
Wentz spread the ball around a lot.
All I'm saying is, man, look, at least if I throw it to Alshon Jeffrey, 8 times out of 10, I know he's going to catch it. With Nelson Aguilar, that's 50-50. All right? That's like flipping a coin.
Yeah, at least you know Nelson Aguilar is going to be on the field for 13, 14, 15 games. Alshon might be there for 4.
Yeah, T, you mentioned he was catching every ball, and that really hurt me because I go back to the Saints game where he let that ball go right through his fingers, and there goes our playoff shots. Yeah.
Do we know it's hard?
Maybe because he got too upset by all the people's social media just giving him a bunch of crap.
Oh yeah,
for dropping that ball.
Yeah,
But
well, tough. You're in Philly.
that's a conversation
you're in
for
the NFL. You're in the
another day.
highest stage in America. Deal with it.
All right, guys, let's move on here. Some baseball talk. It's been a while since we got into this. The Phillies season finally gets underway. We're all excited. Nola goes out and loses on opening night, but then Wheeler bounces back the next day. We're 1-1. Everything's great. As all this is happening, as Phillies fans, we're like, oh, we just want to listen about the production on the field. But, little key nuggets come out each day. This guy gets the virus for the Marlins. We saw Jorge Alfaro, former Philly, opening night for the Phillies, Friday night. He gets the coronavirus, goes on the IL. A few nights later, Garrett Cooper, another player for the Marlins, has it, and then snowballs from there. We hear Wednesday that the Phillies-Yankees game postponed, or excuse me, Monday we hear that the Phillies-Yankees game postponed. Tuesday, same thing. Then we find out the whole Yankee series postponed, and then we're thinking, okay, let's just get us to the Blue Jays series, even though the Blue Jays are a whole different topic. Them getting forced out of Canada, having to play somewhere in the U.S., and we were supposed to have a doubleheader on Saturday, meaning tomorrow.
What the hell is going on?
And now that whole weekend is now shot. So
Yep.
we all know the MLB here. We all love baseball. We all know MLB is trying to do right and make everything safe. Here's the problem. They don't have a bubble like the NBA or NHL does. And that's real cause for concern. There's a lot of travel. It's a lot of airplane miles. It's a lot of bus miles. It's a lot of hotel rooms. It's a lot of contact on the field, even though that might not be the number one reason why this is spreading. But listen, when you have an outbreak of like 18 out of 30 players on the team, and now with the St. Louis Cardinals today, 2 players testing positive, and the Phillies luckily haven't had any players test positive, but
It's
they
ridiculous.
do have staff members test positive. How if you're Rob Manfred, I love the Phillies, obviously my favorite sports, baseball. You guys all know that. But how do you let this season go on? I mean, it's literally health. People have families here. There's lives at stake.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. There's a huge mistake made between letting the Marlins play that Sunday against us, the Phillies. That put everyone in danger. There was a few players that knew that they had some symptoms that still played. There was a group chat of players saying that they weren't going to mention anything. It's just a bad mistake, and it goes back to a month ago where they had players from the Dominican Republic coming in who weren't tested for the coronavirus, and then it comes back, there's like 30 of them tested positive, and they were all on that one plane, and it's just a huge mess. And right now you have to set everything like what the NBA is doing, a bubble, because these
You
guys
piece
are
of
just
Swiss
going
cheese!
from their houses. There's no set precautions.
Yep.
Really. It's kind of a mess, and it looks like they kind of just rushed this whole thing.
Agree, 100%. As go real quick, and I'll let you go back. But
Yeah.
as like as a guy with a family or a wife at home, if you're like Bryce or one of those guys, like me personally, I'd rather be in a bubble. I don't want to bring it home to them every night
Right.
if I'm playing at CBP or something like that. Like I want to just be in this bubble, have them be home, stay quarantined, be healthy, and like I'm not putting them at risk. I could just be in this bubble, and we won't have to worry about virus spreading from the outside.
Right, Bryce Harper, he has a child at home, and I believe his wife is pregnant with their second child.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking for me, honestly. And I don't want the season to be shut down, but I can completely understand why it would be. The last thing I want is anybody to test positive for this. I mean, even the Marlins. Like, yeah, I know it sucks that the Marlins and were the team that played us, obviously opening weekend. But again, it's scary for them because 18 out of 30. I mean, geez. I mean, hopefully they can all recover quickly. But when you have an outbreak like this, I mean, how much is too much? When is the rope finally cut? Like, what does this have to get to in order for this thing to get shut down? Because Rob Manfred came out and said, oh, this is why we handled this well in the beginning. This is why we have a taxi squad. This is why we expanded rosters for things like this to happen. But when you have literally a whole starting lineup of guys with this virus, how is it even competitive? How is it even fair? Because at that point, you're basically relying on minor leaguers to come out from their system. Like, how much is too much, basically, is the question that we're raising here.
My beef is not only with the MLB, but with the Miami Marlins as well, because if you guys remember on Sunday, the announcers were like, okay, well, 4 players, all of a sudden they just were erased from the lineup. And we were all like, that's odd. And the first thing I thought about, the very first thing I thought about, I was like, oh my gosh, if these 4 players got the virus, I'm going to be so upset. Sure enough, why wasn't this reported before? Why? And then to come out and not say anything about it is the part that really frustrates me the most. This is not something that, you can just poo-poo about. This is something serious. We're talking about people's lives at risk here, like you guys just said. Like, I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. And then, like you said, Rob Manfred comes out and basically says, oh, the MLB is still going to be playing games. Come on now. Like, let's consider some things here. You got people's lives at risk here. People coming in contact with each other. Once again, these players have families. These are human beings, for crying out loud. These are not machines. That's all I'm saying.
That they actually had a group chat and they were like not even going to tell people about the symptoms. Like, even if you don't want to put yourself, even if you don't care about your own health in that situation, like, you're going out there and you're playing against another team. Those guys have families. They are going to go home to their wives and kids and everything. You just can't put people's health in danger.
Unreal. And while we were playing, we made the Marlins seem like they were a top team in the league. But one thing I did like, going back to play-wise when we were still playing baseball, is the decision Joe Girardi made to replace Jay Bruce with Phil Gosselin in our first win of the season. It paid off, as we all know. Phil Gosselin hits a 2-run homer, and then that gives the Phils the lead in the bottom of the 6th, and then goes ahead and seals the deal with another homer in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, really good play from Phil Gosselin. Definitely didn't expect it. We saw, I'm not going to say flashes, but we saw that he was a part of the team last year. He didn't just fly under the radar. There was that batch that I definitely remember from Phil Gosselin as far as being a pitch hitter off the bench or, a double switch in maybe the 7th inning in the infield or outfield. But I definitely like his production so far. Listen, we have only seen a really, really, really small sample size. But listen, definitely from a right-handed side of the plate as a DH. I love the DH, by the way. I'll give my opinion on that maybe later. But I do like the DH. I'm not going to dive too much into it. But Tanner, I'll let you continue on. What you had to say?
Yeah, this doesn't come as a surprise to the Phillies organization, the staff, and the coaches, because Phil Gosselin was a top player in spring training, probably part 1 rather than 2. But it doesn't come as a surprise. This guy is one that you want to keep on the roster.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jay Bruce from the left side does give you a lot of power. And I will say this, I've been watching some Mariners baseball lately, which is kind of strange. I know that. Well, just hear me out. J.P. Crawford is having a really solid season so far for the Seattle Mariners, and I look back to the trade and the Gene Segura deal, getting him from Seattle, and now just watching him over the weekend, and it's like, man, if we had J.P. Crawford, way younger here, and he looks pretty solid. Like, either he just came into his own or the coaching staff worked with him out there in Seattle, but haven't liked what I've seen from Gene Segura through at least the opening weekend.
Okay. How about Didi? He hits 2 home runs in 2 games.
Yeah, love Didi. And listen, I love the reason that he's here is literally Joe Girardi. If Joe Girardi's not the manager of the Phillies, we don't have Didi Gregorius. So, those two go hand in hand, which is awesome. But, yeah, I do love to see Didi in that lineup. I think him hitting 5th, probably a good spot for him. I think Reese being really, really patient early on has helped us at times, but it's also hurt us. I like to see him be a little more aggressive. He has walked a ton. I think he leads the league. Well, or before the season shut down, at least the opening weekend, he led the league in walks. I'm not sure he does anymore. But we've seen him. I think he walked like 3 times in one game. So I like to see him be just a little bit more aggressive because we need him to get on base, which he has been, but just a little bit more power. And JT there. I mean, what do you guys think about the lineup? I'm McCutchen leading off. He might be a little past his prime. We all know that, but still patient hitter. We talked about this, in the group chat opening day about the lineup and our opinions on it. But do you like JT? Like we talked about this last year too. Even do you like JT in the cleanup spot? Do you like Bryce in 3rd? Like, what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I mean, with them only playing 3 games, I don't really think we saw what this batting lineup can potentially produce for the Phillies.
Yeah, I agree.
I like it. As far as JT in the cleanup spot, in my opinion, he's probably the most reliable hitter in the lineup. So I love him there. And like you said, Segura at times, like last year, I feel like he actually performed relatively well, especially in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely in the second half, his production really dropped, and in those 3 games, he did not look good at all. And I mean, I know I'm kind of straying away from the conversation at hand, but as far as like the J.P. Crawford thing, I think they looked at Scott Kingery and J.P. Crawford, and I don't know why, but I think they just got in their heads that we can only keep one of these guys, and we feel that Kingery is a better presence at the plate. Because I remember J.P. Crawford kind of struggled at the plate.
Struck out a lot. That was a big problem for him.
However, he's great defensively, J.P. Crawford, in my opinion. And
that's one thing I've seen from Scott. I don't know if you guys or Chris, you've seen it too. Scott Kingery just kind of struggling defense. Like, not that the plays I've seen him mess up or miss are easy plays, but I feel like those are plays Cesar, even though I wasn't a huge fan of, he may have possibly made. I saw a play. Scotty had a dive. Range pretty far to his left. He was unable to come up with it. And then just his size, I feel like there's been times where he's jumped and he just misses like barely off his glove, or maybe an inch above his glove, a couple line drives that he's missed. It's been pretty frustrating, especially losing to the Marlins 2 out of 3. We just struggle with them. But Scotty hitting lower in the lineup, I don't know if that means anything. I do think that's just where he's got to be. There's just too much power and too many good hitters at the top of the lineup for him to squeeze in there. I do like Roman Quinn there in the 9 hole. You got to like what you saw from Adam Hazley too on Sunday as well, 4 hits. So I think he's going to be a contributor to this team too. And if he keeps hitting like that, you got to start him every day, definitely. But Roman Quinn, as long as he can stay healthy, you got to love his speed that he brings. I mean, you look at guys, you're like, what do they bring to the table? Like Roman Quinn, at least he brings something to the table. He's the fastest guy on the team. He can always throw him out there as a pitch runner as well. So hopefully we get to see this team play more baseball games. I don't want to see the season get shut down, definitely, especially looking forward to it for so many months.
I will say this, though. The 3 games that we did get to see, it was like deja vu, because I saw the same issue that we talked about last season, and that is bad pitching rotation, and batters leaving guys on base. And it's repeating itself again. Why is that? We changed managers. We tried to upgrade the bullpen, but yet we're still seeing the same issues. Batters being left, guys with bases loaded. And
I 110% agree with you. Bullpen issues from the start, Friday night. Nola gives up that home run to Jesus Aguilar. We're losing 3-1. Okay, can we just get a guy in here to settle things down? Personally, I don't know if I would have taken Nola out in that situation, because knowing first of all, there was guys in that bullpen I didn't even heard of. All us as fans still need to learn. We bring in this guy, Ramon Rosso, who spikes it. He probably threw a pitch, and I've never seen a pitch hit. They had that little dirt part in front of home plate that leads up to that grass. I've never seen a pitcher throw and spike a ball in the grassy part. Like, he didn't even get it to the dirt towards home plate. Like, he literally spiked it in the grass. And a couple wild pitches, and we're losing 5-1 just like that. So I think the on-base tee, and I agree with you, we have left a ton of runners on base opening weekend. That can be fixed. I hope it will be. This team is too good. There's too many good hitters for that to continue, especially with the new manager. Different players in there as well, different lineup. So I'm not too concerned. But, yeah, you're right. Sunday we left the bases loaded twice. I think it was in the 6th and 7th inning, which you don't want to see, especially when you're trying to make a comeback, which is what we were trying to do. But we did still score runs. The bullpen, man, it's just killing us. And it's not Girardi's fault. Look, I mean, David Robertson was supposed to be here. He got Tommy John surgery. And then you look to your GM. Hey, GM, help me out. Matt Klentak, what guys you bringing in for me? Yeah, okay, you get Didi Gregorius. You get Zach Wheeler. I need at least a closer out of the pen. We're still stuck over here with Hector Neris. And it's pretty frustrating. At least get us a guy that we can go to get an out. It's been years now. We're trying all these different names. This guy Reggie McClain comes in, and Cole Irvin is now out there in the bullpen as well. He didn't pitch too well at all. So it was pretty frustrating opening weekend. But again, as a baseball fan, I can't be too upset, because baseball is baseball for me. And now, missing it even more now that the season for the Phillies at least has been put on pause. Yeah. But real quick, I think we can grab some basketball talk. I'll try to fly through as quick as possible here because I know we're pretty late on time. But Sixers restart tomorrow against the Pacers, and opening night last night in general, really good game. No Lou Williams for the Clippers, no Montrezl Harrell for the Clippers as well, and LeBron James in the closing moments of the game. Look, he puts up a floater, misses it. Luckily, it bounces right back to him. He puts it up and in. And one key I'll point out here is Kawhi Leonard passes.
It's about damn time.
The game. Paul George was able to come up clutch with 1-3 in order to tie the game. And, in the final seconds, I'm sure you guys saw the highlights at least. Paul George misses that shot at the very end. He wanted the foul on LeBron. I don't think it was a foul, but definitely playoff atmosphere. I hope these two teams match up in the Western Conference Finals. And I hope Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell are healthy because a lot of people don't realize how important those two guys are. I mean, literally Lou Williams could win the sixth man every year in this league. Yeah. And Montrezl Harrell is a big-time rebounder underneath the center for them. So, Tanner, what do you think?
Now, this question goes to you, Max, because I know you were watching this game. So you see the Battle of L.A. Happens, but it's in Orlando, so it's a little bit different. But the Clippers and the Lakers are top teams in the NBA. We can all agree. Clearly. They have the best players in the league. And so we see this battle take place, and what we get out of it is that LA only lost by a score to the Lakers, who were at full health. I know now they have J.R. Smith instead, but the Clippers, as Max mentioned, were down Lou Williams and Montrez.
Yep.
What are your takeaways, Max, from seeing LeBron James and his squad sort of rally? And LeBron played fairly more well in the fourth quarter than he did in the other three quarters, and he had great defense on both PG and Kawhi. What are your takeaways from this matchup, and what do you see happening in the future between these two teams?
I thought it was a great game. Just to start out with, NBA's back. It was great. A lot of energy. Literally, both teams wanted this game. It was, like I said, playoff atmosphere feel to it. One thing I will say about this is that the Clippers are the best team in the NBA, in my opinion. And here's why. They have guys that all bring a different, attribute, a different ability to the game, right? We didn't see that last night with Montrezl Harrell in there. This guy he has a motor, right? You don't hear that about, you want guys that have a motor in this league. You don't just want shooters. He brings that to the table, right? You have Paul George on the outside. You have Lou Will. You have Landry Shamet on the outside. You have guys that can knock down threes. This guy's a monster inside. He's a little undersized at the center position, but I'd much rather have him any day over Dwight Howard, over JaVale McGee. A lot of people consider Anthony Davis a center. I don't consider him a center. I consider him a stretch four that can basically do anything on the basketball court. Literally, he's a top 5 player. But from a Lakers standpoint, I think it's LeBron James, the best player in the world. I think it's Anthony Davis, the top 5 player in the world. And then a bunch of guys who used to be good on the Lakers. That's basically how I view it. Yeah, Alex Caruso chips in. Kyle Kuzma is okay. Kyle Kuzma is a decent, solid NBA player. Then you got guys like J.R. Smith used to be good. Deion Waiters used to be good. Dwight Howard used to be good. JaVale McGee used to be pretty good. Rajon Rondo, who we haven't seen, used to be pretty good. So LeBron, AD, and a bunch of guys used to be pretty good. And then you want to throw in Kuzma and Caruso. Okay. But when you look at this Clipper team, and this is going to lead into my hot take at the end of this.
Oh, boy.
You have 2 superstars, and I don't think people understand how great of a player Paul George is. This guy
30 points on the night.
Yes.
Dang, this guy is a legit dog. I use your word right there. He's
dog
a legit
on right.
Dog.
Dog on right.
And I think the Clippers are going to win the NBA championship after last night, even though they did lose. But Tanner, to answer your question, what the Clippers showed me last night, losing by 2, with Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell out, 2 of their more important players on this team. I think they're going to be able to hold up in the 7-game series with the Lakers. LeBron played excellent defense last night. In a 7-game series, you're going to wear down after a while. With all the miles that are on his legs. And, Anthony Davis and LeBron James being the 2 of the top. If you have LeBron and a top 20 guy in the league, you don't see this kind of talent and this kind of, ability and strength of those Laker team. But when you put 2 guys who are literally top 5 players in the world, 2 of the top 5 players in the world, they can single-handedly carry you to a championship. Don't get me wrong. I will not be surprised at all if LeBron's in the finals. But me personally, I'm taking the Clippers, and I think in the East, it's no question Milwaukee Bucks are hands down better than any team in the East.
No.
I know the Raptors have been pretty solid, but you gotta admit, man, we gotta be looking forward to this finals. I mean, if we see the Clippers and we see the Bucks clash, Kawhi, Giannis, I mean PG, Chris Middleton, you look at those two teams and they're just complete. I just feel like like LeBron literally got on the phone and called Rajon, he called JaVale, he called Dwight. He's like, you know what, guys, like just come join me. We got AD, we got myself. And
I
all of a sudden,
want
he's got
winners.
a mixed match of different guys who we've seen have really good success in other jerseys, and now they're all meshed together. Danny Green, I forgot Danny Green, another guy who's had a great success in San Antonio, great success in Toronto. It's just a bunch of guys who are past their prime, but are all together on the team. But hey, when you have LeBron James at the helm, any team can do well and win.
Yeah, now, Max, I don't think your hot take was as much of a hot take as you thought it would be, because I completely agree. I do think the Clippers are a better team than the Lakers at full strength. And I believe at full strength, they only lost one game with all the players on the roster all together playing. Yep. And also, another scary thought to add to the Clippers is that Paul George is healthy. And we haven't seen him like this in a few seasons.
Listen, Tanner, you're 100% right. 100%. I mean, he last night, 33 points, but he literally looked like the old Paul George, the 360 dunk Paul George, the half-court three in your face Paul George. Like, that's what he brought last night. And, just coming up short, hey, who knows? I mean, really tough shot he took, but, hey, that could have went in. You never know. And the Clippers could have been walking out there with a W.
Yeah, it was more of him looking for that foul that really overtook that shot, and LeBron really locked down on defense that play. And there's nothing really you can do. It's the best player in the world on defense against you, and he took that shot, crossed his fingers, but unfortunately it didn't go in.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
100%. I'm with you on that. Listen, the Clippers win the NBA Finals this year. Definitely. That's just my opinion. AD and LeBron can carry a team to the finals, and like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers get there. But on paper, with the talent the Clippers have all around, I think hands down the Clippers have a talent. They have the coach in place, the veteran coach in Doc Rivers, and they also have an owner who will literally buy any player that he wants. Really, I mean, he's literally courtside every single game, passionate. That's the kind of guys you want. I know he's a little crazy sometimes, but it's better than Josh Harris. Like, give him a little golf clap. Sixers are doing well.
Man, that's ludicrous.
Clippers are going to be the NBA champions. You heard it here first. And I really, God, please let this go through so I don't look like an idiot in the future.
Yeah, well, I think
let this happen.
I think 3 out of 4 of us is probably going to look like idiots because I'm on board with you. I agree. I think the Clippers are going to go all the way. I just don't see a scenario where the Lakers can overcome the talent that the Clippers have. And it's like you said, the Lakers are basically built up of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and a bunch of guys who used to be good. Okay, so I'm sorry, the Clippers are just. I believe they got it. Yeah. And the thing with the Bucks is, in my opinion, is they just have one main superstar. Don't get me wrong, Chris Middleton is a very good player. Eric Bledsoe is an above average player. He's a pretty good player too. But they only have one superstar, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, given nobody has been able to stop Giannis, but one player versus Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and on top of that, Lou Will, I'll take my chances with the Clippers.
Don't even entertain it, T. You know the Clippers got that matchup in the bag.
Hell yeah.
And just to add on, it'll add another chapter to this storybook of the coronavirus and sports-wise, because it will be the first time the Clippers win a championship. Unfortunately for their fans, it'll be at a time where the season was kind of cut short. There was a hiatus, and some people are saying the playoffs and championship won't matter as much. But I'm looking forward to seeing history be made with the Clippers. They haven't advanced past the second round in quite some time.
And they tried. They had the trio of Paul, or they had a trio. Excuse me.
They still couldn't do it. Yeah,
like Griffin, DeAndre Jordan couldn't do it, but they have it all in place. And the thing I love about it is they just have every position on that team plus a few bench guys, but they just have a cohesive unit of 5 solid players. And the cool thing about it is, they know their roles. The Kawhi and PG they coexist. It was almost like we saw in Cleveland, LeBron and Kyrie just like, no, it's my ball. No, it's my ball. Like It's LeBron's ball. I mean, I know Kyrie's great. I know you're great, but LeBron, just give him the ball, please. But Kawhi, even though he's probably the second, third best player in the world, depending on KD's health, he'll give the ball to Paul George, and we saw it last night. We saw him literally in the final seconds. Good D from LeBron, gives it up to Paul George because those guys both have faith in each other to knock down a huge shot when needed. Yeah. And we saw it even before that when the Clippers were down 3, with about a minute or 2 left in the game, and Kawhi was like, Paul George, you got the hot hand, I trust you. Yep. I'll toss it right to you. And what did PG do? Knock down that 3 to tie it. So that's what you need. To win an NBA championship, you need a coach. You need the team in place as a unit, but you need to have that trust in each other.
Yeah, they got pieces on the board right now. They just need to execute. And you know that LeBron defense was locked down when Kawhi had to get rid of the ball. You just know how effective.
Yeah. We know it's hard.
You got to make the smart pass. And again, listen, this is the difference between great players and pretty good players. And in my opinion, Russell Westbrook, does he pass that ball? Probably not, because he's got the ego and he wants to be the big guy the guy to knock down the shot in the big time game. And he'll probably chuck up a prayer. Yeah, okay, the shot didn't go. The shot didn't go from PG, but it was the better play, and Kawhi knew it, and it was the better look. Kawhi was kind of falling away from the basket at that point. And you got to remember, these guys are already like 30, 35 feet away from the basket to begin with. So to get a pretty good shot, a leaner 3 from PG for the win. It was great. I mean, I wish these teams play every night. I watch every night. That's how great they match up with each other. Yeah. But
it was a great first night back in the NBA.
In closing, I will say this, Tanner. When this coronavirus thing is lifted, I'm going to slap you. I've told you time and time again, do not send me any videos of Ben Simmons shooting a damn 3. I keep telling you about this. How many times do I keep telling you? Unless I start seeing it in the game, don't send me no more damn pictures of him shooting 3s in practice. I don't want to see no damn articles. I don't want to see it until the games mean something. Jesus, for crying out loud.
It's coming.
Oh,
that 3 shot is coming. And I'll tell you what, he'll be one of the best players in this league when that shot comes.
You know what? I agree 100% with you. I agree 100% with that, Tanner, because it's going to come one day. And to close the show, I'll put a second. I won't even call it a hot take. I'll just call it a prediction. Ben Simmons knocks down the 3-point basket on opening night for the Sixers against the Pacers.
It's funny to me too.
He was already taking some he missed.
Let's knock it down, Ben. Let's knock 3s down. We're a corner specialist now.
It's
We're
stupid.
Corner specialists.
Just
knock down that lefty 3.
Give T more headaches.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All right, Tay. Come on, hang in there. Let's shut it down. You're almost closing the show.
You guys missed any of this painful episode? You can always go to Philly-experience.simplecast.com. Available on all major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. The whole shabazz. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at The Philly Experience. On Twitter, it is at The Philly EXP1. Tanner, I'm serious about that. Don't send me no more videos. I kid you not. I'm gonna snap when I see.
Relax.
I'm just saying.
You'll see it all over the world. Ben Simmons knocks down that 3 again. It's all over.
All right, everybody.
It's an outrage.
Stay safe. Go Sixers.
Yep.
Wear a mask.
Nice. Please wear a mask. Don't be an idiot.
We was catching it. Unlike Aguilar.
I'm not giving Jerry Jones my money. That guy.
I want Mason Roy help.
Surprise, motherfucker.